Hi, my name is Laura. This is my Jesus Table speech. I've got my table, I've got my coffee. Let's get started. The passage I'm going to read today comes from Luke 5, starting in verse 12, and it's a story about Jesus' compassion and untouchable people. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to read the passage and then explain why I think it's significant. While Jesus, was in one of the cities, there came a man full of leprosy. And when he saw Jesus, he fell on his face and begged him, "Lord, if you will, you can make me clean." And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "I will, be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him. So at first glance, this seems like just a regular story. Like Jesus healed a lot of people. He heals the leper here. But there's actually a lot of significance in the fact that Jesus touched a man with leprosy. At this time in history, leprosy was an incurable disease of the skin. You'd get boils, your fingers would fall off, and eventually you would die, where you were ostracized outside of the city limits. So you weren't allowed to worship, you weren't allowed to be a part of society. Your only job was to yell unclean, unclean, so that people could avoid you. So essentially, you were just yelling your identity as an unclean person. So this is a really sad life. So this guy comes to Jesus and begs him to make him clean, to heal him. And so Jesus has healed people in a variety of ways. He's healed people miles away just by saying the word. But Jesus chooses to take his hand and touch this man who hadn't been touched in who knows how long. And when Jesus touches him, he immediately is healed. And I think this says a lot about Jesus' character and the intimacy that he has with people, that he's not this aloof, far away God, but that he went in and he showed this man that he had dignity as a human being created in the image of God, and that he was worth touching, that he was worthy of the touch of Jesus. And in my mind, this is a really important thing for us as believers to take ownership of, especially in a society where there's always going to be untouchable people, whether those are homeless people, people on drugs, or, people that don't agree with our political opinions. We may not like associating with them. But if we're called to be like Jesus, we're called to go to the people that we don't really especially want to touch. And whether we're touching them physically or just touching them with words of kindness and love, it is our calling to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. And what Jesus did here was remarkable. He crossed the barrier that society had set between a man with leprosy and a man without it and said, "No, you're a human being and I care about you." And it blows me away every time that I read this tiny little story in the Bible of Jesus' character. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much.